Welcome back. We're going to have to call it Maria in Cars podcast. That's what we're going to call it.
Yeah, I mean, I have like 100 jobs, so
No doubt.
It's difficult to tie me down in one place. But I'm almost to the commuter lot, so at least I won't be actually driving while we talk today. So, all good. Let's welcome our guest this week, Ashley Battle, the Ashley Battle, as my daughter calls her. So excited to have you on today. So I'm gonna pepper you with some questions, and Dave, feel free to jump in with any that you might have. Let's start. And for those of you listeners that don't know, AB is part of the Celtics organization. They're off to a great start this year. Congratulations on the championship.
Thank you.
I guess let's start there. Like, tell us a little bit about, because obviously you've won a couple of rings in college. What was, in your experience, like that first night when they dropped the banner and, the players got their rings? Tell us a little bit about that.
Banner night was pretty cool. I think one of the things that was really cool was the beginning of the season. Last season, the energy was just like totally different. And you could feel the vibes and the concentration amongst everyone within the organization. And I didn't want to tell people, but like the first day of training camp, I was like, "Oh, we winning," because you could just tell that everybody's focus was just all in the right place. And then, fast forward to banner night, it was pretty sweet. like just having the rings were they're enormous. I get mine next week, so I don't have it today to show you guys, but it was pretty sweet. Like the energy in the building was awesome. And then Mia, like we've been in situations like this where you come in and after having a huge celebration, you're raising the banner. That first game could be a little daunting. And like the energy that you have, like you're already feeling high off energy, you're emotionally charged up, and you raise the banner and you think that there might be a lull to start the game. And then Jason just comes out and is like, "Nope, I'm just going to score 30 and make it look super easy."
Yeah, you guys, didn't you set like a franchise record for threes that game too?
Yeah, we tied the NBA record at 29.
Yeah, I watched some of it from my office after practice, and I recorded it, and I watched the rest when I got home, and it was like the poor Knicks, man. They didn't know what hit them.
They didn't know what happened. They didn't know what happened.
Shot that went up, and you're so right. Like, I equate it, because for us in college, usually that first game was kind of, I don't want to say it was a layup, but it usually was, right? Like you're playing some of the weaker teams in the beginning of the season, but it's like senior night, right? Like you don't know emotionally how things are going to go, and if emotions are going to, overpower your play and all of that stuff, because it can get emotional. But you guys put that to bed real quick. It's kind of wild. So
yeah.
The rings looked huge. It's like, how do you even wear that on your hand?
I don't know. I'm super excited to get ours. So there's 3 different tiers of rings, and I don't think people like really know this. So not everyone gets like the gigantic ones that the players and coaches get. So I think mine is the next tier down, which is still enormous. Like I've seen the rings from other people's from the 08 ring, and I'm like, this is still like huge. I have very dainty women hands.
Yeah.
And it's gonna be enormous, but I'm gonna bring it on the 20th. So
sweet.
You guys will get a chance to see it.
Nice.
Ashley, talk about your journey a little bit to obviously from playing at UCONN, and just for people who aren't familiar, you know what I mean? From playing at UCONN, obviously being a star there, to playing in the WNBA, to now being your role with the Celtics in the scouting department, and really kind of like that area there. Talk about how you kind of took each one of those steps to where you are now. So it's a really, really cool journey.
Yeah, it's a long about way to get there, but it is pretty cool. So I played at UConn, had a pretty successful career there. WNBA, wasn't sure if I was going to get drafted in the WNBA. Like I was labeled a defensive player who couldn't like score and couldn't shoot and stuff like that, which is like far from the case. I'm like just a good hooper, and do like a little bit of everything. And so like had a successful career in the WNBA overseas, and like a lot of athletes, my career ended on a nasty injury. My ankle was the size of my calf. I had my labrum in my hip was torn in 2 places, and I currently still have 2 bulging discs in my back. And so that really sidelined my career, and I had to figure out what I was going to do. So I ended up moving back to Pittsburgh. I got into banking, and I was a branch manager of a bank. And then actually Maria called me, and she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I am bored. Girl, I am bored." I'm like reaching all my goals, but it's like, it just wasn't challenging. And so she's like, "All right, well, I mean, if you want to come interview for this job in Connecticut, like, let's see what if you like it. If not, like, it's cool," because I had a good job. So it was like, all right, cool. So I went to Connecticut. I ended up getting a job working with Maria at Barnum Financial Group. And then I moved to a smaller boutique firm within Barnum. And then there I helped build a sports and entertainment division of the company. So our main focus was athletes, coaches, GMs, like pretty much anyone, announcers, anyone within like the athletic space that was looking for financial services. And by doing that, it really got me reconnected with the game, because I was like, I had a bitter taste in my mouth, just with the way in which my career ended. And I felt as though I played well in the WNBA to get at least a tryout. Let me fail. Like, let me see that I can't play anymore at a high enough level. But I just never got that opportunity. So I was, really kind of bitter towards sports. And then got back and started talking to more people, and I'm just like, what am I doing? Like, I love sports. I love, everything that has to do with it. I've always wanted to be a GM, so I'm kind of tracking on that. And then I left there, went to the NBA league office. They started a program for former athletes to kind of learn the business side of basketball. So I kind of did a rotation in different departments at the league office. And then from there, I was in the international department, where I was kind of like a liaison between international female players who were looking to come to the States and go to college and play at different universities, which was pretty cool because, having played for such a long time, like a lot of my friends are coaches or I have just so many contacts and connections with different college coaches. So from there, I left and I went to Nike, where I managed probably like $1 billion. It was probably over $1 billion business with Jordan in the sneaker industry. So I managed the sneaker making process for Jordan women's and kids. And then at the same time, like, I knew somebody from the Celtics. They hit me up. We were just talking casually, and the timing just worked out where someone was leaving and I interviewed for the position. And here we are.
Wow. That's a really, really cool journey.
Yeah.
And you're still at the beginning of it, right? Obviously, overall, but really, really cool journey. When you worked the Jordan brand, did you get to work with Anthony DeCosmo at all?
Yeah, I know Cos very well. Actually, our really good friend Jessica Moore, her boss is his wife. So
wow.
Yeah.
So Anthony DeCosmo grew up probably about 3 blocks from where I grew up.
Oh, nice. Yeah, they have
a town actually, but like it was like I lived on the border of one town, and he lived in
They have a son that's playing. They have a son that's playing. I want to say high school football in Jersey.
Yes, yeah.
He's pretty good. He's pretty good. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. No, that's a great athletic family. There's no doubt about it. Really, really cool story. Like, it's so. I think what's really interesting is, and Maria, you might be able to talk about this too, because you coach and you do so many things yourself. That journey from like when you reach kind of like some of your heights as an athlete to when you almost get slightly pissed off at athletics. Like I went through it a little bit when I got done playing college football at UConn, and then I I decided not to. The only thing I could get was CFL contracts. I'm like, I'm not gonna go do that. I decided to go, into the working world. But I remember, like, for like a year or so, like I was like kind of mad at sports. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and now obviously that's what I'm in. But it's an interesting, like, kind of wave you go as an athlete, and then whether you're a coach and
Well, essentially, it's a death. Like you go
Yeah.
through a mourning period and you die, and you have to like mourn it and kind of get over the fact that something that you've done all your life you're not going to be able to do anymore.
Yeah, I just had this conversation the other day with someone. Carl Adamak came to interview me, AB, and I think that not being able to go out on your own terms is such an understated injury in and of itself. Like I use like Sue as an example. Like it doesn't happen like that where you get to
No.
do like a retirement tour, you get to go everywhere and like everybody knows this is your last thing and you're choosing it. It's not because you can't do it anymore. It's just you're ready for that next phase of your life. And that's rare, that an athlete really gets to choose, how they transition into that next period. And I think, you hit it on the head where it is. It's like I know for me, I was super bitter at the sport for like a couple of years, and then I had my daughter and I got back into coaching and realized how much I missed it and how much I loved it.
Mhm.
And for me it was like that switch to appreciation, like everything that I do around basketball now is really solely because I want to give back to the sport that's given so much to me. So it's almost like you got to go through that, the what is it? How many stages of grief that you go
Right,
through?
you got to go through it.
Yeah, like you got to live through it. And I think fortunately, like for us at UConn, specifically like our class, all of us kind of went out in different ways and took a little bit of different paths. But I think the cool part is all of us kind of helped each other with that, and have been there. And I do think that's a UConn thing. I don't think you see that everywhere, like the closeness, people reaching out and looking out for each other. Like, I remember having the conversation with AB about her like being bored or whatever, and I went to my managing director and I was like, can we find something that we could figure out for her here, And I think the UConn family does such a good job of helping each other out with that type of stuff. It's really special.
yeah, I think, yeah, good.
I was going to say, so from your perspective, AB, for the NBA this year, because I want to touch on the Celtics just a little bit longer. How do you feel? Like, I look at you guys and I'm like, these guys can just run it back, which is like really, really hard to do at that level.
Hmm.
How do you feel? What's the vibe this year? Like, it looks like JT is on a mission. I was really hoping you guys were going to beat the Warriors the other night so you could stick it to Steve Kerr. But like, we talked about this on the women's side with Diana and what happened there and the lack of respect that she got during the Olympics. Do you see a different gear in him this year?
I think he's just uber focused. Like I think people forget he's only like 26.
Yeah, he's young.
He's so young. And like, but he's just been in the league for such a long time that people forget how young he is. And, he's just really entering his prime of basketball play. And so I think, given and he's been able to like adjust and change and get more physical, get stronger. Jason made a couple adjustments to his shot, which seems to be more fluid and it's working out really well for him because he's shooting lights out.
Definitely working. Yeah, definitely working.
His shot's a little bit quicker, which is great. And I think like everyone kind of came into the season like similarly to last season and really focused on one thing, and that's winning again. And so we'll see what happens. I think we have the right people in place on the coaching staff. We have the right people in place in the front office and in the team, the players in place. So I think we have a really good shot at it. More than anybody, you need a little lady luck on your side, to win it all. So hopefully, barring injuries and barring, any other miscellaneous things that could pop up throughout the season, we can do it again.
Yeah, I mean that, the question of staying healthy is always a big one, right? Like I know you guys don't get Porzingis back till when, like after Christmas?
After, yeah, like we still have after Christmas. Jalen's hurt currently. Like
Yep.
you gotta manage all of that like really well and get through the season, and then you got another couple months to play. Like the playoffs is, if you make it as far as we did the last couple seasons, it's long. Like you don't
Yep.
really get that big of a break. And Jason Drew and Derek went straight into the Olympics. Maybe had a couple weeks off, and then it was training camp, which Jason didn't take any time off. Like he went straight back to working on his shot and fixing everything. Drew and Derek were in the building working out. So, that's 2 full years of straight basketball for those guys. So, we just have to manage all of that properly.
Yeah, for sure.
What's the team chemistry like? There's so many really good, big time NBA players on that team, and being able to like manufacture and create a great team chemistry is sometimes hard with like so many great players like Holiday, Tatum, Porzingis, among others. I mean, it's a deep roster. What was like the genesis of them really coming together and developing that chemistry?
I think, first off, I think it's a testitude of just like Jason and Jalen. Like they're very like, and Al for sure. Like they're very selfless dudes to begin with. So you already had like this environment where people like they just naturally care about one another. Like they're really good dudes. And then you add Derek, who's A1 character, A1 type of dude. You add Drew, A1 character, A1 type of dude. You add Porzingis, it's all the same thing. Like these guys are really like just genuinely nice guys, and so now you have a locker room where everyone gets along, they like each other, they hang out, and it shows on the court because they're very unselfish. And then when someone gets down on themselves, like I don't know if you guys watched our game yesterday, like Sam Hauser went maybe like 2 for 10 from 3. And it's overtime and he missed 2 threes and he puts his head down and Al's yelling at him for putting his head down. And then the next play, Jason is driving down the lane, hits Sam in the corner, and he hits a 3 for us to take the lead in overtime. And so like that's the type of play and type of care that they have for one another. They're going to hold each other accountable, but at the same time, like they're not going to let the doubt that sometimes you can have seep into your head get the best of you. They're just going to pull that right out of you and make sure that you're ready for the next possession, next play. And they see the work that you put in. So like Jason talked about this in the media and the presser last night. Like they see the amount of how hard Sam works and how hard these guys work to be prepared, to shoot. And granted, he didn't have a great shooting night, but he knows they always think whenever he shoots it's going to go in. No matter what, they think is going to go in. So that's the confidence they have in him. That's the confidence he has in himself. And so you kind of see it manifesting on the court.
Yeah, it's so special when you hear stuff like that because, there's a lot of organizations, both on the women's and the men's side, where it's a what can you do for me type attitude. Listen, we know, right? Playing where we played and all of that, like all of us could have gone anywhere else and been the star, but it was like, nah, I want to win a national championship. Like, I don't know. I don't care about any of this other stuff,
Yeah.
It's special to hear that. So I read something last night that said that Pritchard is the toughest guy to guard.
He's a motherfucker.
In practice. Like, tell me a little bit about that, because you see the guy, he's what? What is he, 6'1"?
Yeah.
6 foot?
Yeah,
he's a tiny little dude. And I also read an article over the summer that, like, he paid these dudes to come and, like, basically guard him one-on-one and et cetera. Like, paid them a good amount of money to come and just help him work on his game. Like, tell me a little bit about why he's so tough to guard, and what that dynamic is like.
Peyton he's a psycho. So like he's very how can I say, he's very like interested in his craft and perfecting his craft. And so like he knows what he needs to work on. He knows that he's small. He knows his like deficiencies. Like he's a little guy, but his shoulders are like out to here. He's probably like 230, you know what I mean? And weight, 220 in weight, just solid, just a meatball. He's just so solid. And he understands like stop and go pace. He understands getting into your body. When he gets in the lane, he understands like going off of 2 feet, maybe not going off of 1 foot, like when and when to do that. And then he's just a crazy, insane shooter. Like he's so good at shooting the ball. So when you put, and he just determined, and he thinks he's the best player, so he'll go out. Like we have a drill where it's like Peyton goes 1-on-1. You got to guard him 1-on-1 full court. Good luck. Like
that's what I was reading. It was some like full court drill that you guys do, and everybody's like we can't stop this guy.
You can't stop him. You can't stop him because he's so quick, and he does a really good job. So if you're going full court, he has you at his mercy. So like you're backpedaling and trying to stop him, and even if you beat him to the spot, he's so quick at like just getting up right into the motion at a drop of a dime. And then if he sees that you may get there with him, he's really good at hesitation and going right by you for a layup. So like it's crazy because if he was like 6'7", he'd be a perennial all-star on any team. And I'm just happy we have him on our team because he's a dog.
Yeah, that's wild. And like again, another role that is so understated but needed. It's like you need guys like that. I was cracking up reading the article because like we've seen guys like that. Like remember Brian, that practice player we used to have in college?
Oh my God, I used to.
But he was same thing. He was solid as a rock.
Yeah.
He wasn't as good of like a shooter, but like this guy just knew how to get into your body. And when we used to have to do that one-on-one drill, it was like him on one side and then Tom Hulk on the other, who's lights out and super athletic. And I was like, man, like, are we ever going to get a stop? Like, get that dude to the end of the line, right? So it's always cool to hear that stuff. How do you feel, because I know you watch a ton of basketball, as I do, especially with scouting. Do you feel like the UConn men can three-peat this year? What's your feeling on that?
They have a really good shot at it. Like, I just think they're just so well coached, and they have like the right leadership in the upperclassmen with like Alex and those guys, and they have like really talented freshmen. And it's just, I think in college, it's just so hard to rely on freshmen to be like, very involved and very like they have to contribute a lot. And I think if you get McNeely, if he's able to like rise to where everyone thinks he could play at come tournament time, then I think they have a really good shot at winning it again. Because he's really good. He's really good.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to watch him play. I'm still bitter that Cooper Flagg chose Duke because that mofo can ball. Oh my gosh!
If he would have came to UConn, I think we no doubt. I think we would win again. So like Cooper's mom played with Donovan's mom.
Yep, and Maine.
They played in Maine together, and so like I think it was down to between us and Duke, but I thought for sure after knowing that little bit of detail, I was like, oh yeah, he's definitely coming to UConn. It's so super close for a family to come down and watch. And but I mean, it's Duke. It's hard to turn down, even though I turned him down.
Yep. How do you? What do you feel like the outlook is for the women?
I think they got a shot too. Like I think Sarah coming in, like she played really well their first game, and I was talking to her mom, Allison, and she was just like, she's still playing timid and this, that, and the other, and I'm like, Allison, it's gonna come. I'm like, she had 17 points and 6 steals. She's gonna be all right, and 4 rebounds. I'm like, she's gonna be all right,
Yeah.
And I was and she was saying like, coach keeps telling her to shoot more, and I was like, look, listen. I'm like, he don't say that often and he doesn't say it lightly. So like, he's not necessarily telling people to shoot more. Like he's usually telling people to stop shooting. So, I mean, if he's telling her to like shoot more and to do her thing, then she should really like embrace that and go and just let that thing fly.
Yeah, I thought she looked really good. I thought Jana looked really good too.
Yeah.
She looked better in the BU game than she did in the exhibition game, and she's not even full swing yet because she's not really 100% in the shape that they want her to be in.
Right.
But
But they give you some size, like that, which we've lacked
yeah,
in the past, is some size down low.
yeah, and we still kind of do. Like we're not as big as some of these schools that are out there. Like I thought it was crazy. I read they did the top 25 player watch, and probably like not since we were there has UConn only had one person on the top 25 watch,
Yeah.
and so it was crazy. Like obviously Paige was on there, and you got USC with a couple, you got LSU with a couple, you got South Carolina with a couple, UCLA had a couple. Notre Dame had like four. I think Notre Dame, if they could stay healthy this year, they're going to be really good. I think they're going to be tough. I like Neil Ivy. I think she's a good coach.
Yeah.
I think they've had some really bad luck with injuries the last couple of years, but I mean, not as bad a luck as UConn's had, but still, I think again if they can stay healthy and get some good minutes from some of these newbies, because I call Jana. Jana's basically a freshman too,
Yeah.
even
Yeah. I mean, she hasn't
like,
played.
yeah. So they got some really good young talent there. So I'm excited. My concern always is that post presence and really having like not so much on the offensive end because
It's
I think I
defensively.
think yeah, like I think the way that we run our offense, right? It doesn't really matter. It's positionless, but a lot of these other schools still play with a big back to the rim,
Right.
and with foul trouble and stuff down the end. I think you're right. Like it's gonna be a little bit of lady luck for us too, and like seeding and who we're gonna run into when, as it comes down the stretch. I think will matter. But who else are you like excited to see this year that you think is gonna be really good?
College wise or
Yeah,
NBA?
college wise. College wise.
Men or women?
Let's start with the men.
All right, men. I mean, obviously, I think like the Duke, like watching Duke live, I think that's going to be pretty cool. Alabama has some pretty good players. Baylor has some pretty good players. Obviously, we have UConn. I think like there's some teams in the Big East that's going to sneak up on people that could get some wins. Providence, Marquette. I think they have like some pretty good players and experienced players. Um, on the women's side, I'm interested in seeing like I want to see these new players that are at USC. If they're like as good as what the hype is. I know they have Juju, who's just like ridiculous. And when I really like dove in and found out she was 6'2", I was like, it like I was just
Yeah,
sitting there, I was like, oh my god, it felt like I was about to have a heart attack because
yeah.
like
I
what she's
I
able to
watched them
do.
against. Did you watch them against Ole Miss last week? I watched them against Ole Miss, and they went up 15, and then Ole Miss came back, and then they ended up pulling it out. But like, she had like 7 blocks, and I'm watching it, and I'm like, man. And then I did the same thing. I looked up the roster, and I'm like, how tall is she? But she's also very long.
Yeah,
And she has great ball instincts. Like, she's curling behind a player coming around a screen, and smart enough to wait that second, and she's swatting it from the side clean. She's so smooth. I
yeah,
mean,
that's sick.
she's only a sophomore. Like
She's
it's
a
kind of
sophomore.
wild.
She's a
Um,
sophomore. I think
I
I
think
think coach said it. Coach said it perfectly. Like when we played them last year, and they were like, "Would you say to Juju, he's like go in the draft? Like you're not like you're ready for professional basketball. Like you should not be in college."
yeah, it's 100% right. Like if the WNBA was paying the amount of money that you make in the NBA, I would have expected her to leave last year or definitely
Right.
after this year. But
Right.
obviously it doesn't. You may as well just get your degree while you're there. But
Yeah,
yeah,
and NIL, like she's probably
she's
doing it.
She's getting good NIL money. She's one
Yeah,
of the
she's
top
killing it.
NIL. Yeah.
yeah, and she's very like unassuming. Like you could tell. I mean, I don't know her off the court. Like I've asked Wilnette Crockett, Dave, who we played with. She's one of the assistant coaches out at USC, and I'm like, what is she like? And she's like, she's a gym rat. Like, she's the hardest worker, but she's like the nicest kid, like down to earth. And you love hearing stuff like that. Um, and you can just tell, like, her demeanor. She's probably just cool to like kick it with. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like, you don't see that all the time. But
No.
yeah, I'm excited to watch them play too. Um, I mean, obviously everybody's like, oh, South Carolina's not going to be as good. I'm like, please. I'm like, give Dawn like 2 months, 3 months, because they had a close game last week.
Right.
And I'm like,
They'll
it's
whip
the
them
first
into
game of the
shape.
year. Yeah. Who do they play? Michigan?
Yeah, they play Michigan. They have a freshman
Yeah.
there that was like killing them. I can't remember
She's
her
really,
name. She was
but Michigan, so I had said, I saw in like, we had talked about this before, and Avi, I'm interested to get your insight on this. Like, what I think is going to end up happening on the women's game is a lot of these schools that have really good football programs are going to start to get some of these stud basketball players because they're going to have the
they're
money.
gonna have the money. Yeah.
Yeah. So, like, Michigan, like, I look at Michigan and I'm like, they bring in Buco Bucks for football. So now you got a top recruit that maybe wouldn't have gone to Michigan 5, 10 years ago. She's going to go there because she's going to be making that money.
Absolutely. Like NIL is really has already like just changed the dynamics of college sports. And it's gonna be interesting to see like if there's gonna be some regulation, government regulation that comes about, or if it's just gonna be a free for all like how it is currently. Which I
Yeah.
just don't know how sustaining that is. But I'm interested to see like how the whole NIL space is going to continue to work because like just like you said, like you have these donors who are already donating a gazillion amount of dollars to these programs, like Texas, for example, like they're getting like a gazillion $1 million regardless of NIL space. And now you're telling me, you can almost pay to play, but it's going to be interesting too. Like I've seen players like have a good game and then they get a new car, the next week or something like that. And so, all right, well, what's going to happen if they have a terrible game? Like, are you trying to revoke that car back? Are you going to try to take NIL funds away from them?
Right.
It's going to be interesting to see like how this kind of plays off because currently it's kind of like being overseas.
It's like a G League for
Yeah.
the NBA, or you know what I mean? Like, you're basically, it's like a salary cap of, all right, we got to sit down with each coach, like, which kids do we need to retain next year and how much money do we need to pay them to get them to stay? Like, it's crazy. I agree. I think they got to figure out how to regulate it a little bit better, or else we're literally just going to see all of the top football programs across the country are going to have top for everything because they're going to be able to provide the money to bring these players in for all the other sports.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're going to be able to like go in a portal, snatch people, start recruiting players from other teams. Like, hey, like I know they can't give you X, Y, and Z. So next season you should enter the portal and this is what we got you. And then I can't blame the players either. Like this is the opportunity that they should have tried to figure this out a long time ago. I mean, there's been times where our name, image, and likeness have been used without our consent, and we're getting like people are emailing us like, "Hey, did you consent to this?" And I'm like, "No," but there was nothing that we could do.
Yeah.
Like it was just like they owned your you because you had on like UConn jersey or something like that. They freaking owned it, which is not right.
And
Yeah.
the other thing you're going to see, which is already starting to happen, like I saw Georgia reveal like a $50 million softball facility for the girls softball team. So just like UConn has the facility for basketball for men and women, and they have those facilities going to be multiplied by 10x down the line because those schools at the Big Ten and the SEC have literally at the disposal billions from just the football program that they're dispersing back out, and any program that they want to make elite, not just from an NIL standpoint, but a facility standpoint, they could go build $100 million facilities for it. So
and they have the space to do it. Like
that's true.
Doesn't necessarily have the space, even though we've done really well at creating, different practice facilities for most of the sports. But like who's out here competing with Arkansas? They got the Waltons, like the Walmart money. Who's out here? Texas got oil money. Like you're not competing with that. Duke got 100 million people that just want to. They will all donate $1, to their basketball fund. Like they just have that like Cameron crazy fan base to do so.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, listen, I'm happy. I always say like, people are like, oh, do you guys get bitter because all these kids? I'm like, no, I'm not. It's not. Like, I'm happy that these kids are making money.
Mm-hmm.
I just always worry and question, like, think about us back in the day. We did it for each other and for the name on the jersey, right? And that was it. Like, with the hope that maybe after college you make some money doing whatever.
Right.
But it's like, now it's just a price tag on each kid's head, and I just question how long that will become sustainable. Like AB, you and I have talked about this. It's like, you got one kid on the team making $2 million a year, right? And then you got another kid who's setting all the screens, guarding the defenders, getting the rebounds, but isn't the top player, isn't making anywhere near that. It's like, even from a control perspective and animosity within the team, it's like, how do you manage that with one person making so much more than all the others?
Right. Like, it's different if, like, they have, like, all these kids have agents and stuff like that now. So, like, it's different if their agency is bringing them in money and they're getting money that way and getting ads and stuff that way versus, like, if the school is I think that's where it's like, I mean, I could see how teams are going to be bitter, or players can be bitter, because it's tough. First off, they're kids, and second off, like, it's just like, you may come from nothing and you're just watching somebody. I mean, I was watching the Kansas preseason game the other day. They had like 4 dudes on their bench. I'm exaggerating. It was legit 2 that I can recall. I'm talking big old diamond chains with like just the charm is probably like this big old Cuban links, and it's like this is what we're doing now in college.
Yeah, it's wild. It's definitely going to change the landscape. I think I don't think we're anywhere near to feeling the effects that this is going to have long term on. Just
fifth graders are
college
having NIL deals. Fifth grade. Yeah,
it's crazy. All right, so we got like 3 minutes left. So I'm gonna put you on like some rapid fire some questions here. All right, number 1, you got to pick one NBA team in the West that you think you guys will see in the finals this year. Who's it going to be?
I'll go Dallas.
Yeah, they look good. Clay was a nice pickup. All right, WNBA. Are Liberty repeating? What's happening?
This is gonna be tough because every team's probably not gonna look the same with the expansion draft.
Yep.
And you got Stewie's up for renegotiation. W is gonna be tough. A lot of coaches vacancies. I mean, yeah, I think they could do it again. I don't know if it's gonna happen though.
Okay. Who's winning the national championship for men this year?
And I can't say UConn because that's just biased.
If you think so.
I'm gonna go Duke.
All right, women.
I'm gonna go us.
I like it. Tampa this year, somewhere warm.
I know.
That was awful. Dave, it was awful. Last year, a bunch of us went down for the Final Four in Cleveland. You ever been to Cleveland in April? It's awful.
Sucks.
I don't know that Cleveland's good at any time of the year, but it certainly is not good in April.
April's not it.
It was freezing. It was freezing cold. All right. Who is winning the Super Bowl this year?
Steelers, baby. We look good. We
I
might,
knew you were going to say that.
like, come on. We got a shot. We really do. And we just made some trades. We got another. Don't get me started.
All right. Last one I got for you, unless Dave, you have one. But 24 months from now, where will Ashley Battle be?
Oh, 24 months. So that's 2 years from now.
Yep.
Let's say, I don't know. Hopefully I did some things where I'm like a mom now.
Okay. All right. What about professionally though?
See, I tried to shake you up on that one.
I know.
Let's say, hopefully I'm a GM somewhere. That's what I like to be.
I have one. I have one question. Of the championships that you've been a part of, which one was the best one?
I mean, they're all different.
Like, you gotta pick one, Ashley. You gotta pick one.
They're all different. College-wise, like they're like even in college, they're all different. I can't even really rank those. You know, like the first one, you're just like, all right, if we didn't win, it was going to be a travesty. The second one was like very satisfying because no one thought we could do it. You know, like we were the only ones who thought we could do it. So it was just really satisfying to to throw the middle finger up to everyone. And so that one was just super gratifying. The third one was like, we did it. Everyone's hurt. like we did it. We got through it. And then like even with the Celtics, it was just like, man, we did it. We finally got over the hump. We had been so close for so many years. And it's just great to like almost get like that monkey off your back. And now it's like, all right, everyone's kind of free to do, you know, kind of free. And I mean like everyone. So you have like, there's going to be different opportunities for people in our front office. There's going to be different opportunities for our coaching staff. There's going to be different opportunities for our players, you know, because all of us now have this ring. Like there's not, only thing I'm missing is a W ring. Like I'd run the gauntlet.
That's pretty darn good stuff, Ashley. That's pretty darn good. The success is elite level. I wonder also, any championships I've ever won, after you come out of it and you go and you're like, okay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as much as the excitement of winning is awesome, but there's also like a little element of like relief, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Like
you're just like, man, we did it. You're like, man, we did it. And then you're just like, holy shit, we did it. And then you're just like, holy, like, it's like you go through all these different like tiers of emotion of like you're just super excited. And then you have to sit back and like go back through and think about all the things that happened for this to happen, you know? And then for us, it was like getting Drew, getting Porzingis, like all those things kind of happened over the summer. It was difficult to trade Rob, difficult to trade Marcus, like all of those things had to happen. And then we had like a really smooth year, like just a smooth year, you know?
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I know, Maria, you're on a time crunch.
Yeah. AB, thanks so much for coming on. This was really cool. I love hearing the Celtic stuff. Everybody go enjoy their weekend, and let's wish for a Wolfpack victory today on the road.
Let's go.
Have a great weekend. Ashley, nice meeting you.
Nice meeting you too. Good luck, Mia.
Thanks. All right, bye.
All right, bye.